Peaky Pundit here. I'm with Gaz from Full Time Devils. Gaz, sum up the season in one word for me.
Oh man, that's too much. I don't know. Is anticlimactic one word? I don't think it is, but I'm going to go with it.
It counts. Yeah. Looking ahead, a lot of work to be done now over the summer. Who's got to go for you first? Who are the players that you want to see go? Obviously, I know there's going to be a long list, but initially 3 or 4 who have to go.
They've got to be the older players, the players who we know haven't been good enough for a long time now, like players like Ashley Young who are getting too many games. And you know what? I could say people like Phil Jones and Chris Smalling, but I don't actually think they should go. I think we should just have someone better than them.
Do you think they're good squad players to keep there?
Great squad. Chris Smalling would be, I think, the best third choice centre-half in the league if we had him, but he's not at the minute. He's playing too many games. So I suppose I could say those guys, but I don't know. And then I look further up the pitch and then I think of people like Lukaku, and I think I would let him go, but only if we're going to get a decent enough price for him. And I just don't think we will, because I know how we sell players.
Do you think, like, towards the end of last season, we saw Rashford's form dip a lot because, you know, we were putting a lot of pressure on him, playing up in that number 9 role, or expecting him, you know, to carry the fight kind of almost single-handedly at times?
Yeah, I do think that. I think we did put a bit too much pressure on him. I hope he didn't feel it, and I actually don't think he did, by the way, you know, he sort of conducted himself. I don't think the pressure's got to him necessarily. His performances, as they are for young players, they're erratic. They're all over the place. That's what young players are like. Some of them aren't consistent at that age. We've got to expect that from Rashford, but on games where he can't turn up, we should also be expecting Romelu Lukaku to come in and do a job. And I know he's still young, but an experienced player who's played, you know, hundreds and hundreds of games in his career, scored hundreds of goals, and he's just not been good enough for me. So I'd let actually Lukaku go if we're going to get a good enough price for him. Another player as well, an older player, I'd say Alexis Sanchez. I think he offers absolutely nothing in this team at the moment, and it's a massive letdown. And get him off the wage budget as well.
I was just going to touch on that. Do you think that's been the biggest issue at the club with people like De Gea, Herrera stalling on contracts, because they're looking at what Sanchez is being paid and he's not performing? And, you know, these guys are senior players within the first team who are meant to be performing week in, week out, and they're being paid less than someone who's, you know, not good enough to make the starting 11 at times.
Well, in any job you'd be the same, wouldn't you? If you've got an office job and you've got someone next to you who barely does any work and he's being paid 3 times as much as you're getting paid, you'd be fuming. Yeah. And I think that's the same with especially a player like Ander Herrera. You know what I mean? I think that's exactly what happens with the players. Some would say that it's maybe a little bit unprofessional from some of those players. I personally disagree. I think the club's just run completely incorrectly from a financial standpoint.
David De Gea, towards the end of last season, we saw some uncharacteristic mistakes from him, which, you know, kind of lost us some very important games. But a lot of United fans felt, you know, look, his performances over the last 5-6 years of, you know, he's been player of the season and he's kind of kept us within the top end of the table as opposed to like a mid-table club. What do you think is going to happen with him over the summer?
All depends on what he wants, that one. If he wants to stay, he'll stay. If he wants to go, he'll go. I think it's that simple now. Yeah. I think we owe David De Gea so much. He gave up 3 Champions League titles to be with us, potentially even 4 if he went to Madrid. They could have won another one. I think we owe him so much. His level is above what Manchester. His level is 2 levels above what Manchester United is right now. So if he stays there, look, we've always got to be happy with having players that are better than the current team, haven't we? And we need to keep them if we want to improve. If we are to let him go, though, I hope we actually invest the money properly, which we won't. If we let David De Gea go, it has to be for like 100 million, and then spend that in the squad, and it won't get spent in the squad. So
the last high-profile player I wanted to talk to you about was Paul Pogba. For me, there's 2 takes on him. Some fans sort of say that he needs better quality players around him to help him during games so he can play a bit further up the pitch without, say, the sort of defensive responsibilities, and we can really see him flourish moving forward. Other fans are just saying he's just too inconsistent. Where do you stand with Paul Pogba?
I think Paul Pogba's not the type of player that a lot of fans think he is. I think that when we're struggling in games, that he's not the type of player who's going to, grab players by the scruff of their neck and pull them up like Roy Keane. He's not, just because he's a centre midfielder and he's a big lad, that's not the type of player he is. I think he would benefit from better defensive midfielders behind him totally, and giving him a bit more freedom and less defensive responsibilities. At the same time, the way he's conducted himself on the pitch, and I'm solely talking about on the pitch because I don't care what he does off it, on the pitch hasn't been good enough, and there's been times where there has been a clear lack of effort. I'm not going to say the word that a lot of people say, which is attitude, which I just think is very loaded language. I think a lot of the words people use about Pogba are very loaded, but in terms of purely on the pitch, he hasn't been good enough, he's not been consistent enough, but you don't want to let him go. He's capable of things that no other player in our team is capable of. You don't want to let him go, you want to keep him and hopefully have a team that he's actually proud to play with next year. Players like the calibre of Pogba and De Gea, they must be looking at some of them delinquents in the rest of the team and just shaking their head some days. And, I'm not saying I can't blame them for not putting in much effort, but I can see where they're coming from.
Brilliant. Guys, there Gaz's thoughts from Full-Time Devils. If you agree, disagree or anything, leave it in the comment section below. We want to get your thoughts as well. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out the latest fan cam. Don't forget to subscribe on all the socials at Peaky Pundit to keep up to date with all the latest content. Also, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to get all the alerts and stay up to date with everything that we do United.